Go ahead, Greg.
Spencer, Greg Logan over here.
What's up, man?
Hey, can you give me some idea of how you think the dynamic has changed from last year to this year now that you have all these superstars coming in and joining the cast and you have so much veteran leadership? You know, how does it change for all the guys who've built this over the past 3 years?
I mean, for us, it doesn't really change. Part of the culture was a mentality of kind of getting 1% better every day, continue to improve. I know you guys expect us to be obviously a lot better, and you thought we weren't going to be that good last year. So I know for you guys it changed a lot. We just want to keep doing that, and our floor being a little bit higher now that we added more talent. It doesn't take rocket science to know that, but we still don't know where our ceiling obviously is capable of being, and we're striving to do great things. Oh, that sucks.
Hey, Spencer, Christian Winfield, New York Daily News. Last year, you placed outside of the top three for a sixth man of the year. I felt you should have been in that top three. You kind of disagreed there. I guess my question is sixth man of the year a goal for you going forward? And what have you done this offseason to kind of get you into that conversation?
No, it's not.
It's not?
No.
Okay.
But just in terms of trying to improve, obviously three-point shooting for sure. With the guys that we've added, they're going to need spacing. They're going to need, as much opportunity to do the things that they do and that they're great at. And, being able to fit in and play a role that accompanies that is probably the best thing for me.
Spencer, Ian Begley from SNY. It's a two-part question, if you don't mind. One, with the scrimmages that have been going on the last couple weeks, what's the comfort level like after those scrimmages with Kyrie and you guys and the rest of the group? And I guess the follow-up is, in your experience, how long would it take to fully implement a player like that into what you guys run? Like, is there a point in the season where you would expect it to happen? Is it a gradual thing? How does that work?
No, I don't think it's going to be a point in the season or something like that. I think we're going to go through a consistent growth process, obviously. But we are kind of filling a void of a very ball-dominant guard, replacing with another ball-dominant guard. Now, he has a completely different style, but in terms of like kind of plugging in a X amount of possessions or something like that, I mean, it should be a fairly simplistic fit. And then everybody kind of has to figure out how they work around that. So that's kind of what I foresee with that.
Kyrie talked about the relationship that you guys have formed. Can you just go into why you guys liked each other, what you saw in each other, and how will that translate to playing together on the court? Because Kenny said there will be times when the two of you are out there with Karras.
So I actually met Kai, all right, technically I met him in high school. We played against each other. They killed us. But really we kind of connected. I believe it was 2018. It was the Skills Challenge year out in L.A., so that's kind of why this whole recruiting thing in a sense was a misnomer, because we had been talking just in terms of as friends since then. And playing with him, obviously it's been a lot of fun so far in the scrimmages. He's extremely talented, one of the best players I've been able to play with to date, and he's going to make the game easier for people. That's just kind of how it works. When people that are great are on the floor, they draw a certain amount of attention, and then sometimes it's about them setting the table for you. Sometimes it's just about them drawing that attention, and then you doing what you do. So it's going to be a combination of both, but I envision it working out well.
Spencer, Moke Hamilton with The Athletic. One of the interesting things that I think both Kyrie and Kevin said was, even though they were in different cities last year, they're kind of looking at what was going on in Brooklyn, looking at you guys winning games, looking at your playoff run and such, and that helped make their decision to come here a little easier. As a player, how much conversation do you guys have during the season about what's going on? What kind of discussion is there about, you guys are building a nice culture, you guys looking good?
Yeah.
What is that camaraderie like, and how did that help make their decisions easier?
Well, I mean, guys are friends now, so friends are going to have a wide-ranging array of topics, right? Like you're going to talk about family, you're going to talk about life, you're going to talk about, business, you're going to talk about basketball, all those things. Some places are going to have more of a general feel, right? So like let's say the past couple years, if like the Bulls haven't been playing well or something like that, and you're just kind of like, okay, the Bulls are over there, or like, if the Warriors obviously were phenomenal. You're like, the Warriors are up there, and you kind of have a general sense. So if they ask you about a team that you're currently on, all you can do is give kind of, your accurate representation of what's going on. So you talk about Sean and Kenny and what it's like being here, just in terms of as a person that comes to work every day at the Barclays Center and at obviously HSS. That's really all it is. So that's kind of why it's a little bit of it's weird when people talk about tampering or things of that nature, because it's like, we're friends, we're going to talk about life. Like you can't stop friends from talking about life.
Spencer, Stephen Bonnie with the Daily News. You actually just talked about it, but the league is trying to change the rules about tampering. They're trying to be more forceful in how they punish people. I mean, do you think first of all, what do you think about what they're trying to do? And do you think it's reasonable to ask players not to talk to each other about these kind of things?
What on the team side, in terms of like what the NBA controls.
They're trying to
no, I got you. I'm just saying, like, on the team side, sure. Like, if the teams or management or something does something that breaks a rule or whatever, then yeah, NBA should punish them and do all the stuff by whatever code that they have. We're not. I mean, I'm assuming it's public, but we're not really privy to that information. Like, nobody really knows it. But in terms of like trying to tell guys that, hey, you can't talk to your friend. Like, some of these guys grew up together from like youth, and we're talking about like 7, 8 years old. So you're gonna tell, best friends that he can't say, oh, I like my place of business, or I don't like my place of business. Like, that's completely unreasonable.
Spencer, Tom Dowd, BrooklynNets.com. Teams headed to China for some preseason games. You went on your own this summer, as I think you have before. What did you do this time around? What was the experience like, and what brought you back there?
I go to China for like various different reasons. Have a couple appearances, interact with the fans out there, and then obviously, with my shoe, I like being hands-on. So, they take me to like their factory connections and stuff like that, and so I get a chance to kind of really see it, just ground up. So for me as a creator, as a builder, that's fun, and then that's pretty much why I go to China on my own business in total. What you notice is definitely that there's 400 million basketball fans in China. They have a certain love and passion for the game that is second to none in some respects. So it's gonna be a lot of fun playing this game. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's Josiah, KD, Kyrie versus Bron, AD, and possibly the most famous basketball brand out there, right? So it's gonna be fun.
Spencer, Joe Masiri, Pix 11. You mentioned the friendships that exist between so many of you guys today. How do you think that has impacted the game of basketball? And do you think some of those rivalries still exist between players like maybe Michael and Isaiah had in the 80s and 90s?
There's definitely still those rivalries. I just don't think the negative side of them are publicized as much, right? Because people are scared in a lot of sense to be villains publicly. Now, it doesn't mean that they take it any less serious on the court, because I know some guys take it extremely serious, and there's no love lost while on that court. But if public perception is going to say that they're suddenly like some mean guy, then it damages them to a certain extent. So I think that's why you don't see those 80s style rivalries, but some of them still do exist. And then in some cases you compete harder against your friends, right? Because who wants to hear their friend get right on the phone right after the game and say, hey, I gave you 30? Like, nobody want to hear that. That's why I don't let Kyrie win one-on-one ever.
Last question.
Hey, Spence, Max from Slam Magazine. You mentioned your shoe earlier. Are we going to run that back? You're going to change it up a little bit this year?
Nah, so we got a 1.5 coming, basically, calling it the Mark II, kind of in that Iron Man-inspired sense. If you've seen the teaser, it's my operating system is about to build me a new shoe. So that's why I don't have it on right now. For Media Day, because my operating system is still building it. So we going back and forth. Me and Kyrie are going back and forth right now.
Thank you.